नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते Hare Krishna. So now we start with the Bhagavad Dhyana Sopanam verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 28th chapter, verse numbers 21 to 33. So we have started with verse number 21 and I think we went up to 25. So we will revise all the verses and before we go to the 26th verse today. And before that, there's a very beautiful verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, which goes to reinforce our importance of meditation on the various limbs of the Lord. Meditation on the form of the Lord is so important. So this is in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, text 28 and 29. It goes, Kitaf Peshah Krita Ruddhaha Dhyayam Tam Anusmaran Samrambha Bhaya Yogena Indate Tatswarupatam Evam Krishne Bhagavati आयामनुज ईश्वरे वैरेण पूतपाप्मानः आपुरनुचिन्तया. Bhagavatam gives a very beautiful example to understand the importance, what this meditation or thinking always about the form of the Lord will lead us to. It says, Kitaha. Kitaha means a small insect, and here Prabhupada writes it as grass worm. A grass worm confined in a hole of a wall by a bee. Sometimes, the bee has a big animal, a big insect. It takes a smaller insect like a grass worm or something and puts it inside a hole. And then it is coming always, in an intimidating mood, just it is coming there and always seeing the grass worm all the time. So the grass worm is always observing that the bee is coming and it is a very big insect as compared to it. So it is very much afraid seeing the bee, the black bee, all the time. So a grass worm confined in a hole of a wall by a bee always thinks of the bee in fear and enmity. And later what happens because of this constant thinking? It becomes a bee simply because of such remembrance. Because it is constantly thinking of the bee in great fear, it simply becomes a bee because of the remembrance. Similarly, if the conditioned souls somehow or the other think of Krishna, who is Sachidananda Vigraha, they will become free from their sins. Again, if you think about Krishna, what is happening is that the purification is taking place. Whether thinking of him as their worshipable Lord or an enemy, because of constantly thinking of him, they will regain their spiritual bodies, Bhagavatam says. So whether we think of it in any emotion, even if it is fear, that is what happened to Kamsa, who was always thinking of Krishna in great fear. Bhagavatam says, whenever he was sitting, he was eating, he was lying down, every time Kamsa was thinking of Krishna in great fear. But ultimately, he was able to attain the Sarupa. So that is why, in the any way, that is why we saw in the last class also, Paundraka Vasudeva, he was thinking of the Lord, even though in enmity, but still Krishna was merciful enough to grant him the same bodily features because he was constant. Because anyway we think about the Lord being absolute is always good, and he gives us the form same as his form. So that is why Prabhupada writes the purport, thinking of Krishna, hearing the holy name of Krishna, or hearing the pastimes of Krishna will make one pure, and then he will become a devotee. Our Krishna consciousness movement is therefore trying to introduce the system of somehow or the other, letting everyone hear the holy name of Krishna and take Krishna Prasad. That is why the whole movement is called Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. We say Hare Krishna movement. So we say that is why anytime we pick up the phone or anywhere, the more we say Hare Krishna, whether we say it without any intention or unintentionally, whether we like it or not, whatever it is, anyway, the name Krishna has got the greatest potency to purify each one of the one who speaks the name and one who hears the name, everybody around is becoming purified because of hearing. So that is why Prabhupada has made it so nice. Hare Krishna movement. Okay, so now we will go to the meditation of the Lord. Swarnangi Mataji, she will kindly follow me. Now we go to Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. सञ्चिन्तयेद् भगवतश्चरणारविन्दम्
सञ्चिन्तयेत् भगवतश्चरणारविन्दम्
वज्राङ्कुशध्वजसरोरुगलाञ्छनाढ्यम्
वज्राङ्कुशध्वजसरोरुहलाञ्छनाढ्यम्
उत्तुङ्गरक्तविलसन्नखचक्रवाल
उत्तुङ्गरक्तविलसन्नखचक्रवाल
ज्योत्स्नाभिराहतमहद्हृदयान्धकारम्
ज्योत्स्नाभिराहतमहृदयान्धकारम्.
Mataji, read the translation.
The devotee should first concentrate his mind on the Lord's lotus feet, which are adorned with the marks of a thunderbolt, a gold, a banner, and a lotus. The splendor of their beautiful ruby nails resembles the orb of the moon and dispels the thick gloom of one's heart.
Go to the next verse, 328-22. यच्चौचनिसृतसरित्प्रवरोदकेन
यच्छौचनिसुतसरित्प्रवरोदकेन
तीर्थेन मूर्ध्नि अधिकृतेन शिवः शिवोऽभूत्
तीर्थेन मूर्ति अधिकृतेन शिवः शिवोऽभूत्
ध्यातुर्मनः शमलशैलनिसृष्टवज्रम्
ध्यातुर्मनः समलशैलनिसृष्टवज्रम्
ध्यायेच्चिरं भगवतश्चरणारविन्दम्
ध्यायैचिरं भगवतः चरणारविन्दम्.
Its translation.
The blessed Lord Shiva becomes all the more blessed by bearing on his head the holy waters of Ganges, which has its source in the water that washed the Lord's lotus feet. The Lord's lotus feet act like thunderbolts hurled to shatter the mountain of sin stored in the mind of the meditating devotee. One should therefore meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord for a long time.
328-23. Now we go to the knees up to the waist of the Lord. Janudvayam jalajalocanaya jananya
Jhanudvayam जलजलोचनया जनन्या
लक्ष्म्याखिलस्य सुरवन्दितया विधातुः
लक्ष्म्याखिलस्य सुरवन्दितया विधातुः
पूर्वोर्निधाय करपल्लवरोचिषायत्
पूर्वोर्निधाय करपल्लवरोचिसायत्
संलालितं हृदि विभोरभवस्य कुर्यात्
संलालितं हृदि विभोरभवस्य कुर्यात्.
Translation.
The yogi should fix in his heart the activities of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, who is worshipped by all demigods and is the mother of the Supreme Person Brahma. She can always be found massaging the legs and thighs of the Transcendental Lord, very carefully serving him in this way.
28-24. Uru सुपर्णभुजयोरधिशोभमानो
ऊरु सुपर्णभुजयोरधिशोभमानो
ओजो निधि अतसिका कुसुमावभासौ
ओजो निधीयतसिकाकुसुमावभासो
जालं विपीत वरवाससि वर्तमान
व्यालं विपीतवरवाससि वर्तमाना
काञ्चीकलापपरिरम्भिनितम्बबिम्बम्
काञ्चीकलापपरिरम्भितं
The translation.
Next, the yogi should fix his mind in meditation on the personality of Godhead's thighs, the storehouse of all energy. The Lord's thighs are whitish blue, like the luster of the linseed flower, and appear most graceful when the Lord is carried on the shoulders of Garuda. Also, the yogi should contemplate his rounded hips, which are encircled by a girdle that rests on the executive yellow silk cloth that extends down to his ankles.
Go to 328-25. नाभिह्रदं भुवनकोशगुहोदरस्थम्
नाभिरदं भुवनकोसगुहोदरस्थम्
यत्रात्मयोनिधिषणा किल लोकपद्मम्
यत्रात्मयो निधिषणाखिललोकपद्मम्
व्यूढं हरिन्मणिवृषस्तनयोरमुष्य
यूढों हरिन्मणिसदृशस्तनयोरमुष्य
ध्यायेद्वयं विशदहारमयूखगौरम्
ध्यायेद्वयं विसदहार्मयूखगौरम्.
Translation.
Translation. The yogi should then meditate on his moon-like navel in the center of his abdomen. From his navel, which is the foundation of the entire universe, sprang the lotus stem containing all the different planetary systems. The lotus is the residence of Brahma, the first created being. In the same way, the yogi should concentrate his mind on the Lord's nipples, which resembles a pair of most executive emeralds and which appear whitish because of the rays of the milk white pearl necklace adorning his chest.
Okay. So now we go to 328-26 today's verse. So we are moving up to the chest and the neck of the Lord. Mataji will follow me. Vakshodhivasam
वक्षोधिवासं
Rishabhasya
ऋषभस्य
Mahavibhutehe
महाविभूतेः
Vakshodhivasam Rishabhasya Mahavibhutehe
वक्षोधिवासं ऋषभस्य महाविभूतेः
Pumsam
पुंसां
Manonayana Nirvritim
मनोनयनिवृत्तिम्
Adadhanam
आदधानम्
Kantham cha
कण्ठं च
Kaustubhamaner
कौस्तुभं मणेर्
Adhibhushanartham
अधिभूषणार्थं
Puryan Manasi
कुर्यान् मनसि
Akhilaloka
अखिललोक
Namaskritasya
नमस्कृतस्य
Akshodhivasam Rishabhasya Mahavibhutehe
वक्षोधिवासम ऋषभस्य महाविभूतेः
Pumsam Manonayana Nirvritimadadhanam
पुंसां मनोनयननिर्वृतिम् आदधानम्
Kantham cha Kaustubhamaneradhibhushanartham
कण्ठं च कौस्तुभमणेरधिभूषणार्थम्
Puryan Manasyakilaloka Namaskritasya
कुर्यान् मनस्य अखिललोः नमस्कृतस्य.
Read the synonyms, Mataji.
वक्षः, the chest, adivasam, the abode, rishabhasya, of the supreme personality of Godhead, mahavibhutehe, of Mahalakshmi, pumsam, of persons, manaha, to the mind, nayana, to the eyes, nivritim, transcendental pleasure, adidhanam, bestowing, kantham, the neck, cha, also, kaustubha of the kaustubh gem, adibhushana, adibhushana, artham, which enhances the beauty, kuryat, he should meditate on manasi, in the mind, akhila loka, by the entire universe, namaskritasya, who is adored. Translation. The yogi should then meditate on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the abode of Goddess Mahalakshmi. The Lord's chest is the source of all transcendental pleasure for the mind and full satisfaction for the eyes. The yogi should then imprint on his mind the neck of the personality of Godhead, who is adored by the entire universe. The neck of the Lord serves to enhance the beauty of the Kaustubh gem which hangs on his chest.
Right. So now we are moving to the meditation on the neck and the chest and the up to the neck of the Lord. So here we can see beautifully, and the two things here are very nicely mentioned in this verse. One is the Srivatsa and other is the Kaustuba. So Kaustuba gem and Srivatsa are the two things which are the chest of the Lord, which are requested to be meditated. Actually, he's wearing a Vanamala also. That will come a little later in the meditations. So I was just thinking the mala is not there, but it's coming the coming verses. So this is this kind. This describes about the Srivatsa and the Kaustubhajan. So here it says Vakshaha. Vakshaha means chest. So Vakshaha Adhivasam Rishabhasya Mahavibhutehe. Here in Prabhupada writes Mahavibhuti means refers to all the opulences. It is a reservoir of all the opulences. Vibhuti itself means opulence. And if you remember, the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called Vibhuti Yoga, correct? So it means the opulence of the absolute we see. So Mahavibhutehe is all the opulence. And who is the mistress who is in charge of all the opulences is naturally Mahalakshmi. So she is the source, the reservoir of all the, she is the reservoir of all the opulences. And this reservoir of all the opulences is situated where she is situated, Vakshaha, on the chest of the Lord. So even in the while the Mahalakshmi was coming out, when the churning of the milk ocean was carried on in that beautiful pastime in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we can see that so many articles come, even the Lord has advised the demigods not to fight for any of them. So don't fight for anything. Whatever the demons want to take, let them take. Let them take. Be cooperative with them. Don't fight with them. There is advice given by the Lord. So in one of the many things were coming. Uchai was coming. The Airavata elephant was coming. Everything was coming, and even Kaustubha gem also came in the during the churning of the ocean. In the same way, Lakshmi Mata also came. They appeared during the churning of. That is why Lakshmi Mata's another name is Sindhuja. Sindhu means ocean. Ja means one who is born from the ocean. So that is why the ocean is considered to be the father-in-law of Mahavishnu. So she's this is considered like that. So this in the Lakshmi Mata comes from the ocean, and where is she situated? Once she came out of the after the ocean is churned out, just like a nectar, she has come out, and then she just sees who I should marry, and she sees all the demigods, and she finds out that none of them has got all the qualities in full. Some good quality is there, but again another bad quality is there. So which means somebody is very beautiful to look at, but their lifetime is not unlimited. So it's a very limited lifetime. And somebody is very intelligent, but they're not looking beautiful. So it's a combination of everything: beauty, courage, everything together in one personality. It is very difficult to find out. Like amongst the conditioned souls, it is very difficult to find out a personality like that. But then only she saw Lord Narayana and she was very pleased, and she put the garland at Lord Narayana and married him, and the marriage function was done. And at that time, she was just smiling. And Bhagavatam says that she was just standing nearby, waiting to go and enter into her abode, which is the chest of the Lord. After the marriage, generally the daughter-in-law is allowed to go enter into the house. It is called a Graha Pravesham function. She puts her foot inside the house. Right foot is supposed to put the first foot inside the house, and she enters. In the same way, Mahalakshmi Mata, where does she enter? Which abode she enters? She enters the chest of the Lord. That is why the Vakshasalam, see, that is a abode which Krishna has given to her. And the main reason the Lord has given that position to her to be situated on his chest is again a mercy of the Lord. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindho, Dina Bandho Jagatpati. Because Krishna feels that in some devotee comes and offers obeisances to me or praise to me, and the moment he has a darshan of me, when he stands in front of me, what will happen? This Mahalakshmi, who is situated in my chest, she will immediately put her glance on that particular devotee, which means the devotee is going to be blessed because of the presence of Mahalakshmi in his heart. That is why, in a very convenient position where she can have a glance of all the devotees of Krishna, that is the position which has been awarded by Lord Narayana to Mahalakshmi. So that is why she is situated on the chest of the Lord. Vaksho Adhivasam Rishabhasya Mahavibhutehe. And there is a very beautiful pastime which is very nicely described in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 89, about how this Lakshmi Mata is in the chest of the Lord, and there is a nice pastime associated with it. What happens once, long ago, on the banks of the river Saraswati, many great sages and philosophers had assembled together and they were performing a big sacrifice. And yajna was being performed. At that time, they wanted to find out who is the supreme personality of Godhead to whom all the respects can be given. They wanted to find out that personality because they were confused because three personalities are there. Brahma is there, Vishnu is there, Shiva is there. They are called the the three devas are there. Whom should be given the first position? So they decided to conduct a test to decide who is the person who is most in the mode of goodness. So what they did was they appointed Bhrigu Muni. Bhrigu Muni is again another son of Brahmaji only. So Bhrigu Muni was appointed as a personality to go and perform this test pariksha and come back with a report on who is the best personality amongst all the three. So Bhrigu Muni goes with a plan in his mind. So first he goes to the Brahmaloka. And since Brahma is his father, actually as a son, when he is supposed to meet the father, he is supposed to offer his obeisances to the father. But Bhrigumuni, because he wanted to do the test for Brahma, he didn't offer. He was just standing there in front of Brahma and he was not offering the obeisances or saying namaste or nothing. He was saying like that. And what happened? Brahmaji became a little angry, because this he's coming here, he's supposed to offer his obeisances to me. Why he is not doing like that? He's not even telling anything to me. So actually, a lot of anger rose within him. But still, Brahma controlled it with his great intelligence, because Brahma has got supreme intelligence. He's Adi Kavi, correct? He's the first person to whom Bhagavatam was given by Lord Krishna. So he controlled, with the help of his intelligence, he tried to control his anger by not reacting to whatever Bhrigu was doing. So, but we can, Bhrigumani could feel, because when some person is angry, right from the face or from the manners, his gestures, we can easily understand that the person is very angry with us. So he just saw this, his reaction, and then Brihumani just left the palace. Yeah, he left the place, left Brahmaloka, and understanding what is the position of Brahma. And then he goes to Kailash to have a darshan of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is actually, if you consider all this, he is the brother of Brihumani, because Shiva is also born out of Brahma, that was born as Rudra, through the eyebrows, in between the eyebrows of Lord Brahma. He was born with great anger. So Lord Shiva was born. So Lord Shiva is actually the brother of Brihumani. So when Brihumani enters Shivaloka, Kailasha, Lord Shiva becomes very pleased. My brother has come like that. So he extends himself and he goes out and he comes and he wants to embrace his brother nicely, because out of lot of love and affection he has for him. But what Bhrigumuni says, in order to test him, he says, "Oh Lord Shiva, don't come and embrace me. You are a greatly impure personality. You are just sitting in the, cemetery and you are putting all over the ashes all over your body. You are wearing all the bones of the dead bodies and all. So you have a matted hair. You are not clean at all. You are such an impure personality. I don't want to embrace you." In this way, he offends Lord Shiva with his. See, in the first case, in Brahma's case, we saw how he offended. He offended within his mind. Within his mind, he thought that I should not offer obeisances. I should not offer any respects to this person. So this is a mental offense. And then here, what he is doing with his words, he is offending. So this is a greater degree. See, the degree of offense is becoming greater and greater. So this offense with the words is a greater offense to to tell with our word, because it directly hurts the other personality. So he's speaking like offensive way. So Lord Shiva, as we all know, he is the controller of the mode of ignorance. But sometimes what happening, because he is in constant association with the mode, in order to execute certain of his duties, sometimes he comes enter into the mode. Doesn't mean that he is under the control of the modes. We should never think that personality. He is Vaishnavana Yatha Shambhu. But in order to perform certain activities, even though he is the controller of that particular mode, he just enters into the mode just for the purpose of performing that activity. So what happens here? He becomes very angry. So his eyes are becoming red, and then he picks up the trident in order to kill Brihumuni. At that time, Parvati Mata, who was by his side, she comes and falls at the feet of Lord Shiva, and then she begs, "Don't react like this. Anyway, he is your brother. You should forgive him like that." She entreats to Lord Shiva. Then Lord Shiva becomes a little pacified. And then Brihumuni leaves the scene. So now he has done the pariksha for Lord Brahma. He has done the pariksha for Lord Shiva, and he has understood what is the reaction from these personalities. And now he goes to Shweta Dvipa, where Lord Vishnu is lying down. Lakshmi Mata is massaging. And we have been seeing the last two classes, the beautiful picture of Lakshmi Mata massaging the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Then this is a situation wherein Bhrigu enters. And what he does immediately on entering, he just goes and kicks on the chest of Lord Vishnu. This is what he does. And now, what is the offense he is performing? This offense is being committed with his body, we can see. So, this is the most heinous offense he is performing. First, he did a mental offense. Second, with his speech, he was doing the offense. And now he is doing this offense of physically giving a pain to Lord Vishnu. But how Lord Vishnu reacts? Lord Vishnu immediately he gets up from his Ananta Sesha, the bed he was lying down. He falls at the feet of Bhrigu and says, Bhrigu Muni, you are a Brahmana. You are an exalted Brahmana who has come to my abode. It is my duty to take care of you, to offer you all the respects. I am very, very sorry that I did not attend to you properly. Just by putting your dust of the lotus feet in this place, the entire Vaikuntha Loka is getting purified. I am getting purified. Please be seated. Please accept my hospitality. Because you kicked my chest with your lotus feet. I think your lotus feet must be paining very much. I should massage your lotus feet. Please sit. Please allow me to do the service of massaging your lotus feet. My chest is just like a thunderbolt. It is very hard. And in that, your lotus feet is very soft. And how much pain you must be feeling. Like that and all, he is glorifying Brihumani. And what will be the reaction of Brihumani? Just imagine. He was completely overwhelmed with emotions of seeing this reaction of Lord Vishnu, and tears were flowing from his eyes. He couldn't speak anything. He was completely astounded by this reciprocity by Lord Vishnu. He was completely astonished, tears flowing from his eyes. He was just simply standing there. And then he tells another dialogue, Lord Vishnu. He says, my wife, Mahalakshmi's residence is actually my chest. And now her generally Lakshmi's name is Chanchala, correct? Chanchala means she keeps on moving from one place to another. So the Lakshmi doesn't stay in one place for a long time. So that is why we say, generally also in the material world, a person can be never rich for more than 30 years. Again, another 30 years, he will move into poverty. It is a big cycle, they say. So Lakshmi Devi never stays in one place. But her name is Chanchala. But now, because you have, with your lotus feet, has been touched the chest, no? This abode of Mahalakshmi, this Sri Niketana, this place has been touched by your lotus feet. This place has become so purified. Now Lakshmi will feel that this Brahmana has touched this place. I should never leave this place. Let me be with great satisfaction, reside in the same place. Like that, my wife will feel. So that much the benediction you have bestowed upon me by making my wife stay here with me permanently. That like that, he is glorifying Brihumani. So that is why he also speaks one beautiful verse in the third canto, 16th chapter says, no, Yatse Vaya Charana Padma Pavitra Redum Sadyakshata Kila Balam Pratilabdha Sheelam. She says like that. Ashri Viraktam Abhimam Vijahati Yasyaha Reksha Itane Niyaman Vahanti. Just to get a glance of Lakshmi Mata, everybody is doing so much of tapasya. Reksha Lavarta Itare Niyaman. So many niyamas, they're doing so many vratas and austerities to get a slight glance of Mahalakshmi Devi. But what he says, Nashrir Viraktam Abhimam. But I am not very much interested in her. I don't always go behind her. But she is continuing because I'm a very pure personality. Why I am a pure personality? I am getting this quality of being pure because I am serving the devotees. Yet Sevaya Charana Padma. Just because I am putting the lotus feet, dust of the lotus feet of my devotees on my head. Who is telling? Krishna is telling. I am just taking the dust of the devotees' lotus feet and I am putting it on my head. And because of putting the dust on my head, what is happening? I am becoming so much purified. This is what Lord Krishna is telling. I am getting the purity only because of my devotees. And because I am becoming pure because of the devotees' lotus feet, what is happening? Lakshmi becomes very happy and she continues to stay with me, even though I am not very particular that she should continue to be with me. Like this, very nicely, very beautifully, she speaks in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is how Lakshmi Devi is staying in the chest of, this is called Sri Vatsa. And it is actually represented by a nice white curly hair, which is in the, which can be seen on the chest of Lord Krishna or Lord Narayana. So Vakshodhivasam Rishabhasya Mahavibhutehe Pumsam Mano Nayana Nirvriti Madadam. Just by having a sight of Mahalakshmi, how much happy the devotees will feel. Mano Nayana Nirvriti. That is why she is called Anapayini. Anapayini means she never leaves her husband actually. Anapayini. Even though Krishna tells jokingly that she is Chanchala and other things. Actually, she is Anapayini. Anapayini means a person who never leaves. She feels no other, she never leaves the this abode of Lord Narayana, which she is very pleased. That is why The Acharyas and the Alvars in the south, they beautifully comment that when Lord Vamana Deva, he goes, no, he takes the avatar of Lord Vamana and goes for begging to Bali Maharaj. So this pastime, he is about to beg. So when you're going to beg, can you carry Mahalakshmi with you? Then who will believe that you are a beggar? No? Everybody says you are a cheating. Even if normal beggars come nowadays, we don't have trust in anybody. We feel he's cheating. And then supposing we see somebody coming, Mahalakshmi is situated on his chest and he is coming, how we will accept him as a beggar? Nobody will give him any charity. So considering this Vamana, but Mahalakshmi says, no, I am Anapayini. I will not leave here. Just I will be with you, even though you have taken the avatar of Vamana Deva. But Vamana Deva is requesting, just please take some days off. Please go to your mother's place or father's place to the ocean for some time. Please leave me for some time because in this pastime I am going to do begging. That is why I'm requesting you. Please don't come. But Mahalakshmi was very adamant. I said no. She said no. I cannot leave your chest. And then what happened? That is why Vamana Deva covers himself with a deer skin. If you see the picture in the 8th canto of Bhagavatam, the first page picture, if you see the cover page, you can see this is a nice deer skin which Vamana Deva is wielding around his chest. That is why, because he wants to cover. Lakshmi is not there like that. She doesn't want to reveal Mahalakshmi who is situated in his chest. So this is so that is why the darshan of the Lord's chest is giving. He is giving so much of transcendental pleasure to the devotees. Mano, Nayana, Nirvriti. And that is why it said that by the glance of Lakshmi Devi, not only the opulence will come, the real opulence which will come by the glance of Mahalakshmi is good qualities. That is what Bhagavatam says. In the 8th canto of Bhagavatam, if you see, they read this pastime of just before the churning of the milk, during the churning of the Milky Ocean, that particular pastime, you see, it says that just with the glance of Mahalakshmi, all the good qualities come in the devotee. So that is why it is Mano, Nayana, Nirvritam. It gives transcendental pleasure. And then it goes on to talk about the Kaustubha gem. Kanta. Kanta means our Kanta. That is why we call this Tulasi Mala, Kanti Mala. So that is why you can remember the word. Kanta means the neck. The neck portion is called the Kanta. And what is he wearing there? Kaustubha Mane, Adhibhushanartham. It says the neck of the Lord serves to enhance the beauty of the Kaustubha gem. Here you have to be very careful how nicely Prabhupada writes. No? How much effort he is putting to writing these translations and purports. He says, the neck of the Lord enhances the beauty of the Kaustubha gem. It is not otherwise. It is not that the Kaustubha gem is enhancing the beauty of the neck of the Lord. No. The neck of the Lord serves to enhance the beauty of the Kaustubha gem. In general condition laws, in our cases, what is happening? We want to enhance our beauty by putting on all these ornaments, just necklace and other things. Whereas in the case of Krishna, the ornaments are glorified and beautified just because of the association with the transcendental vigraha of the Lord. Kantam cha kaustubhamane adhibhushanartham. And this Kaustubha gem, the Acharyas explain, is considered to be the resting place of all the living entities. So that is why we have to understand that Krishna is keeping all the living entities, the pure soul position of us, all of us living entities, actually at the end of the annihilation and the end of everything, actually we go and remain in the chest of the Lord. He keeps in the form of a Kaustubha money. So that is why how much importance the Lord, because Mamayavamsha Jivaloka, he says, no, Pita Hamasa Jagadu. That is why he takes, that is why when a small baby is born, what does the mother do? How does she take care of the child? She takes the baby and puts it on her chest, and then hearing the heartbeat of the mother, the child feels so comfortable because the child knows only one heartbeat. There is a heartbeat of the mother. Right from the time the child is in the womb, he is hearing the heartbeat of the mother. So that is why when the child is put on the chest of the mother, the child becomes very calm. The same way, we can always remember this point that Krishna is keeping all of us as a Kaustubha mani near his chest. So it's a very valuable gem. That is a representation of all the living entities. And this Kaustubha mani, there is a pastime during the Kaliya Mardan, and that Kaliya pastime, no? After Kaliya was subdued, we have to note that Kaliya was not killed, correct? He was just driven out from that place. Krishna said, you don't live in that place and go to Fiji Islands, the Ramanaka Island, Dvipa, Ramanaka Dvipa, he was asked to go. And then at that time, because why he did this, he didn't kill, because one of the reasons Acharyas give is because the wives of Kaliya, the Kaliya's wives, Nagapatnis, they are called, they offer beautiful prayers. And Krishna was very, very pleased with the prayers offered by the Nagapatnis, and he didn't want to remove the Mangalya Sutra of all these Nagapatnis. So he asked Kaliya to move from that place. At that time, the Nagapatnis wanted to offer some gifts to Krishna. And what is one of the gifts they give is the Kaustubha money, they say. because they have a big treasury, in the Nagaloka. That is why we say the Nagas always have a Bhushana, Naga Bhushanam we call it. So they have a lot of ornaments with them, and they offer the Kaustuba money in that particular pastime. Actually, the Kaustuba money doesn't belong. It belongs eternally to Lord Narayana, but he plays a pastime in which somehow he just drops it inside the treasury box of the Nagaloka. He makes an arrangement for that, so that they will have the satisfaction of presenting the Kaustuba money to Lord Shri Krishna. So this is the beauty of Krishna. He only gives whatever he. And then that is why, when you're offering prasadam also, Tvadiyam Vastu Govinda, Tubhyameva Samarpayam. We say, no? Tvadiyam Vastu Govinda. This is all, whatever rice, dal, whatever is prepared, it is all your Vastu. Tvadiyam Vastu Govinda, Tubhyameva Samarpayam. I offer the same thing to you only. So, and Krishna expects only the bhakti portion of it. So that is why this is the way Kaustuba Mani and Srivatsa are very beautifully described here. And one important point to remember is that if we go to the Vaikuntha Lokas, in the Vaikuntha Loka, all the living entities will be given the same Rupa, just like the Lord. The Sarupa they will give. The same Rupa means everybody will have 400 forms like Lord Vishnu if you go to the Vaikuntha Loka. So if everybody has a 400 form, what is the distinction? No, there will be some distinction for who is Lord Vishnu, because everybody will look same like Lord Vishnu. See, Krishna is so merciful, he gives the same, he doesn't discriminate. He is very happy to give the same Rupa. But then only two distinguishing marks which will distinguish Lord Vishnu is these two marks, Srivatsa and Kaustuba gem. So with this only we can define the distinction. Okay, this is Lord Vishnu and these are normal other living entities. These are the only two, just like a king holds the insignia or he holds a ring, this Rajamudra we call it. Just like it, the two Rajamudras which Krishna has in distinction, or the Srivatsa mark, which is a white curl of hair on his chest, and the Kaustuma gem which is holding on his chest. These are the two things. You can see Mataji has put a beautiful picture, Jyoti Mataji, of the Kaustuba gem. This emerald like it is shining, So this is what he wears. So we can remember these things while chanting this mantra. So we'll recite once more. Mataji can follow me. Vakshodhivasam rishabhasya mahavibhutehe.
वक्षोधिवासं वृषभस्य महाविभूतेः
Pumsam mano nayana nirvritimadahanam.
पुंसां मनोनयननिवृत्तिम् आदधानम्
Kantham cha kaustubhamanerathibhushanartham.
कण्ठं च कौस्तुभं मणेरधिभूषणार्थम्
Kuryan manasya kilaloka namaskritasya.
कुर्यान्मनस्य अखिललोक नमस्कृतस्य
What is the position of this Lord Narayana? He is Akila Loka Namaskritasya. Or the entire, everybody is offering obeisances to this personality of Godhead. And this personality is having a Kaustuba gem in his heart. And which Kaustuba gem is a representation of all the living entities. That is why we can try to understand through this verse that all the living entities are very dear to Krishna. And if we remember this nicely while chanting this verse, we may try to develop this quality of seeing that, okay, this personality I am seeing, with whom I am fighting, he is also a Kaustuba gem in the chest of Lord Krishna, is very dear. In this way, we can slowly and gradually, we try to get rid of the quality of envy within our hearts just by remembering this verse. These verses are so nice to meditate. Even before sleeping, we can just chant these verses and just think of the beautiful form of the Lord. And because the Lord's form is full of Shuddha Sattva, it will immediately bring us to the mode of goodness and brings a lot of peace within us, so that we will be able to sleep. It's a good mantra for sleep, because I'm also suffering. That is why I'm also trying this. Okay. Thank you, Matajis. Now we move to the next part of our Bhagavatam, to